CEO told to wait outside his own dealership minutes later. He fires the whole team. James Carter stood on the cracked sidewalk outside his own dealership, Carter Luxury Motors, his breath visible in the chilly dusk air. At 42, he'd built this business from nothing, a black man who'd clawed his way up from a rough Chicago neighborhood to a multimillion-dollar empire. Tonight, he'd driven 6 hours from a conference in Detroit to surprise his team with news. A major partnership deal that would put their small-town dealership on the national map. But as he approached the glass doors, a man he didn't recognize, Mark Hensley, the new sales manager, blocked his path. "Sorry, sir," Mark said, his tone clipped, his eyes scanning James's tailored suit with suspicion. "We're closing. You'll have to come back tomorrow." James's jaw tightened. "I'm James Carter. I own this place." Mark's smirk didn't waver. "Sure you do. Wait out here while I check." The words hit like a slap. James felt the old sting of being doubted, dismissed, reduced to a stereotype despite his achievements. He'd faced it before, cops trailing him in his own neighborhood, store clerks hovering as he shopped, but never at his own business. Behind Mark, Sarah, a young sales associate, shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting between the two men. Earl, the security guard who'd worked for James for a decade, stood frozen, his hand hovering near his radio, torn between loyalty and protocol. The tension thickened, a silent crowd of onlookers gathering across the street, phones raised, capturing the humiliating standoff. Mark's refusal wasn't just ignorance. It was a power play. Hired 3 months ago by a regional manager, Mark had a reputation for cutting corners and favoring certain clients, white, wealthy ones. James had heard whispers of Mark's dismissive attitude toward minority customers, but he'd been too buried in corporate deals to investigate. Now, standing on the cold pavement, James realized the rot in his dealership ran deeper than one man's prejudice. "You've got 10 seconds to open that door," James said, his voice low, steady, but burning with fury. Mark crossed his arms. "Or what? You gonna make a scene?" Sarah stepped forward, her voice shaky. "Mr. Hensley, I think he's telling the truth." Mark shot her a glare. "Stay out of this, Sarah. Don't you have paperwork to file?" Earl, his weathered face etched with conflict, finally spoke. "Mark, I know Mr. Carter. Let him in." Mark scoffed. "You're just the guard, Earl. Know your place." The crowd murmured, sensing the escalation. James's hands trembled, not from cold but from the urge to tear down the wall of arrogance before him. He could fire Mark on the spot, but that wouldn't fix the culture that let this happen. He needed to see how far this went. Then came the twist. A voice cut through the tension. "What's going on here?" It was Mrs. Evelyn Tate, a wiry, gray-haired black woman in her 70s, leaning on a cane. She owned the diner across the street, a community staple where James had eaten countless meals as a kid. Evelyn wasn't just a neighbor. She was a local legend, known for mediating disputes with a sharp tongue and sharper wisdom. Her presence shifted the air. The crowd parted as she hobbled closer, her eyes locking on Mark. "Young man, you're standing in front of the owner of this business. I've known James since he was in diapers. You best step aside." Mark's confidence faltered, but he doubled down. "This doesn't concern you, ma'am." Evelyn's laugh was sharp. "Oh, it concerns me when a fool disrespects a man who's done more for this town than you'll ever dream of." She turned to the crowd. "Y'all know James. Built this place, hires local, gives scholarships to our kids. And this man's treating him like a stranger." The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a mix of anger and shame. Sarah's face flushed, and Earl's shoulders squared, as if Evelyn's words had snapped them out of a trance. James saw his opening. He stepped closer to Mark, his voice calm but commanding. You're done here. And so is anyone who thinks this is how my business runs. Mark's smirk vanished. You can't fire me. I report to corporate. James pulled out his phone, dialed the regional manager, and put the call on speaker. David, it's James. I'm at the dealership. Your new hire just barred me from entering. Clean house or I will. David's voice stammered apologies, promising immediate action. Mark's face paled as James ended the call. But James wasn't finished. He turned to Sarah and Earl. You two saw this coming, didn't you? Why didn't you speak up sooner? Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I was scared of losing my job. Earl sighed. I thought it wasn't my place. James nodded, his anger softening. It's always your place to do what's right. Remember that. He addressed the crowd. This isn't just about me. It's about every time someone's judged for their skin, not their worth. I built this business to lift us up, not tear us down. By morning, the dealership was closed for restructuring. James fired Mark and 3 others who'd enabled his behavior, but he didn't stop there. He hired Evelyn as a consultant to train staff on community values. Sarah, shaken but determined, stayed on, mentored by Earl, who found his voice as a leader. The partnership deal went through, and Carter Luxury Motors became a model for diversity and inclusion, drawing national praise. James stood taller, not just for himself but for every kid in his old neighborhood who dreamed of breaking barriers. Evelyn's Diner became a hub for town meetings, where people debated the incident. Some defended Mark, citing misunderstandings. Others called for broader change. James didn't judge the disagreement, she welcomed them. Progress, he knew, came from hard conversations. The dealership's new motto, carved on a wooden sign outside, read, "Respect drives us." What do you think was James's response? Justice? Or was there another way to heal the divide?